Alright, good morning viewers, it's John Lee here again. I'm covering another one of the Crazy House World Championship matches. This is from the round of 16 to determine players in the round of 8. We've got a review of a match between Chicken Crossroad and Sexy and I Know It. This actually happened earlier this week. I believe between Krosky Atrophied and myself, this is the last match that has not been covered by commentary. So I'm just going to fill this gap. It's Saturday morning for me now, so work's done for the week. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so we've got Sexy and I Know It as white, e4 and 96. Okay, this is a gambit line. d4 is sacrificed to get some development out. White doesn't mind if there's a capture here. I've often played this myself as white. There's a second pawn sacrifice here. I normally play knight g2, yeah. So white's basically looking to connect rooks very quickly. And objectively here, I think, white does tend to get a lot of play, but, black's got two pawns, and I think, objectively, if black can hold back and defend, it probably holds on to a residual advantage, but it's not that straightforward. So yeah, I'm probably happy to play either side in this opening. I think it provides chances for both sides. So Chicken Crossroad very early, pawn at h3. Basically, white would like to play castles, knock the queen away. Eventually, maybe bring this knight out to f4. Black's making a very early stake on the king side to try to make this unsafe for white. So Sexy and I Know It, ignoring this, he'll play rook g1 if that's captured. Then he's threatening to win a piece over here. Okay, so Chicken opting not to take this one. Now the thing is, if Black does take this and rook g1, there is a mate threat of knight at f3, which can't really be taken advantage of immediately. You can't sacrifice the queen because this knight captures, and then knight at f3 is no longer mate because this queen is defending f3. But yeah, I think black could probably take this first. Maybe Chicken doesn't want to give white the freedom of activating the rook. Okay. Yeah, something like queen takes d7 was tempting as well, but maybe it's not enough. I did see Bugzilla make a sacrifice against All You Need Is Luft in a similar position to this, and it wasn't quite enough. In this case, though, it's probably still not enough. I'm okay with knight at e5. The issue for now for black is, well, if you play pawn d6, there's some weaknesses that might appear with knight d7. Sure, you can play hg, or you can take the bishop. I'm not sure he has much more choice than that, though. I think knight takes and then capture the bishop. Sensible. Well, then maybe bishop at c6 is a bit painful. After knight d7, yeah, I prefer white here. So white sacrificed two pawns before, but picked up a piece, and now is making a hole here. The reason why Chicken hasn't taken this is because a new bishop would fall on c6, so he's preparing it with pawn at b7 first. And now I think it's fair to say white is getting compensation for the opening sacrifice because now this queen is trapped. All escape squares are blocked off. So yes, this is the only trick that white needs to be careful of. Knight at f3 is a mate threat here. I think that's easy enough to cover. I think something like knight d4 or knight f4 just helps to cover that. And then the queen is still trapped because now this bishop is covering the knight, relieving this knight of its duties of defense. The knight d4 played is one of those candidate moves I expected. And now it's I mean, you can see black's got a displaced king, is not well developed. The queen is trapped. Black's not going to get a quick initiative with the pawn and the knight. So yeah, I think Sexy I know it's done well with playing pawn at d5 and taking advantage of this pin. So black recovering a few important minor pieces for the queen. I think that's a wise decision from Chicken here. And now he's going to try to defend Rook b1. Interesting. I would have thought queen g4, but maybe he's clearing space for the knight. Oh, so the move's speeding up here. I wonder if there's time trouble. Okay, Chicken's been able to get a bit of safety here. He's been able to bring an edge out of this very quick play. Oh, surely. Oh, there must have been a mate somewhere here. Looks like black ran out of time. Alright, let's have a look at that. That was interesting. It just went so fast there, I wasn't able to comment on it. I think white was clearly winning in the middle game. Let's just take a step way back here where the queen was trapped. This is clearly stronger for white at this stage. Knight d4 necessary to prevent knight f3. These captures were made. Yeah, even here, I mean, rook b5 is okay. Go forward with that. Pawn at b6. And here I think white should just be direct with queen g4. And this is something I often mention in some of the videos where white has all the initiative, the queen, but actually doesn't have many supporting pieces. I mean, black is really undeveloped. There's not much going on for black, and you really should strike fast here. Because after queen g4, I mean, he has to block either playing e6, pawn e6, something like this. And the position is decisive enough that something like knight takes e6 is probably winning. If there's a capture here, well, let's have a look for mate carefully, but even something like queen at f7 looks very promising. You can block, but the two queens coming in for the attack is just too strong. So I think that could have been an improvement for white. Just queen g4, knight e6, and that's threatening knight f8, a double check. So very hard for black to defend from here. Even if king e7, knight d5, pawn at d7, play knight c5 or knight f8. Maybe knight f8 a little bit less accurate because the king can run, but yeah, you pretty much it should be over pretty soon. So I think that's how Sexy I know I should have done it. What happened here is, and this was fine play by Chicken Crossroad, is even this is a decent move, but Chicken Crossroads slipped the king back here. Now if queen g4, he has opportunities to defend d7, something like knight at e5. And it's really just giving black that one extra move to kind of untangle a bit. White should still be better here. I mean, pawn e6 is coming, so not critical. But you just let black get back into the game, and then now black's really getting a bit safer here. White, I still think white's a little bit better. And then let's see how things turn. So black got to put all his pawns and pieces on the board. When you saw how much easier it was to attack black when they were still off the board. And and then is now started developing. So even here, I mean, white should pick off a bit of material, potentially. I'm not sure if the clock started running short, and maybe it's not fair to commentate from here. But, you know, black's starting to make progress. Now c3 is the weakness. Black's defending, picking off this knight. So white leaving a bit of material here. I think this is just time trouble. So from here, I mean, I think Chicken's just making use of his activity, picked off a queen. Yeah, it's probably missed a mate here, so knight f4. Who knows, he probably had 1 second on the clock. I think what's critical here is just going back here, got proper technique with white. Yeah, just queen g4 here. That's the critical move. Okay, so nevertheless, Sexy and I Know It moves ahead with the first game due to a win on time. So 1-0 to Sexy and I Know It. Let's have a look at the second match. Okay. Just give me a moment here. I'm just gonna move the arrows from the computer analysis suggested. Okay, we're fine now. So Chicken Crossroad now with white. e4, e5. Okay, looking like a standard e4, e5. Right, Chicken Crossroad opting for an aggressive opening here. Early d4 push. I've faced this more with black than I've played it with white. I normally play knight d4 here. There's some tricks with knight d4, bishop d4, queen d4, knight at c2. I expect Chicken will go into this opening having prepared something, knowing that it's a continuation. And yeah, this is a common move which just avoids the knight at c2 threat, which basically makes queen d4 viable now. The idea behind pawn at h3 is to distract this pawn to make a new knight trick available, knight at f3 to defend the bishop. Personally, I think maybe white could even just take this bishop here and after hg, just be bold and capture with the king. Yeah, I mean, he'll have to face a few checks in an open position, but objectively, white will be up a piece and is very active. The Chicken hasn't gone down that path. He's actually sacked a piece himself with the idea of recapturing this pawn on h3 safely and not opening up f3. So black is basically up a piece for a pawn here, but as a displaced king, white has some easy open development, some central lines. So yeah, interesting from here. Now Sexy and I Know It, not even defending the bishop, choosing an aggressive path. Again, renewing the threat on h3. And Chicken not backing down either. So this is just a fiery game, guys. We've got both sides not playing much defense, so just raising the stakes. If you're going to attack me, I'm going to attack you first. Yeah, I'm questioning if pawn at h6 is enough. I would have nearly thought this knight needed to go to g5. Kind of like black here, actually. The thing is, I mean, even with the black king here, white's only got pawns and bishops in hand. So, you know, the black king can sit pretty on f7. I'm not too concerned about pawn checks coming in. It's not that easy for white to establish an attack on both colors of the squares. Meanwhile, this rook is also going to get active. Black has knights in hand, so black's now threatening knight at f3. Yeah, it's still a game to play for, but black is now up a piece cold. I shouldn't say cold. I mean, white's got a comparably safer king, but I don't think the dangers on this king are necessarily enough. Black does need to play accurately from here, though. So h6, good move. That just stops the pawn at h6 threats in its tracks. It's well defended. So yeah, I mean, I think here black actually just needs to defend. Black could make the mistake of trying to counter-attack too quickly. If I was black here, I'd prefer to play moves like bishop at e5, and just make the black squares really solid. If he takes here, move the king, maybe some trades come off, but yeah, just not allowing too many trades, because I think black's king is still a little bit less safe than white's. You could try to weather the storm and get white to run out of pieces first. Easier said than done, but that's my strategic view. So Sexy I know it has done something different for the attack. I feel this opens up trades now, so knight at e6, yeah. So maybe even my bishop at e5 move wasn't quite accurate. Probably instead of pawn at f3, maybe something to cover e6 would have been appropriate. Maybe even something like bishop at f5 to balance the defense on light squares. So in hindsight, this is something I've missed. It's a fairly simple tactic, but we should all see that. Yeah, this is, I mean, knight d8. If rook takes, queen at f7 is mating. Okay, so chicken's gone for this path. He's going to trade queens. And you can see here how pawn at f3 looks like a move that could have been much better spent on defense. So chicken's going for the mate now. So this is a move to distract the knight off f4. But yeah, white does need to be careful. This is now mating, pawn at f7. Alright, so that was the second match. So maybe back here. I mean, I didn't think pawn at f3 was useful. Maybe it's something like bishop at f5. It's still a useful attacking move, but it's also defending against knight e6. Maybe it's even something like bishop at g6. So after bishop f6, you can recapture this with the queen, and then you're covering the knight at h5 for. And so, it's still a game. I mean, white can still make threats. There's still plenty of open play, but I just feel that black needs to hold out and defend for a little while longer. Even if we went down the bishop at f5 option. Maybe bishop at f7. Bishop f7 covers both h5 and e6. They're the critical square. Even this is okay for black. I mean, the queen gets traded, but you can see the difference having a defender here relative to having the pawn on f3. It's just different gaps. Okay, so chicken making the better decisions in a dynamic open game, and we now go to 1-1. So let's go to the third game. Okay, Sexy I know with white, chicken with black, e4 again. So chicken switching up his openings. Last time he played knight c6. This is actually one of 12teenth's pet openings, this a6 b5. The idea is that black gets some space on the queen side. Bishop b5 or bishop c4 are never viable because of this pawn structure. So the bishop takes up a different square here. Knight c6 becomes playable later. And black gets a diagonal. So they're the ideas. I play quite a different setup with white usually. This is also fine. So yeah, let's see how Sexy I know it navigates this. He's picked up an early pawn here. And questionable whether that's helpful to white. It could open up some lines here. g6 isn't really trapping the knight because the knight can come back to g5. So I think it's reasonable enough white picking up a pawn. Probably play c3 now, covers knight b4 and knight d4. And then you're asking questions of black, how you're going to get active. So I think queen h4 is a possibility. It's just whether or not pawn at g3 is something black's prepared to face with queen h7, because there's no other good squares for the black queen. Ideally, the threat of queen h4 is that you can't move this knight because of the mate threat. Queen and rook bearing down here, but black would prefer to take this with the rook and recapture with the queen. I think pawn at g3 prevents that. So black looking for activity in the center instead. And this is an interesting position. I mean, white's a pawn up, but isn't really putting pressure on a particular point, and still has some development to go. Here the move might consider is even something like f4, but the thing with f4 is then queen h4, and then I was going to say this bishop would be blocked off from covering h6, so after pawn at g3, queen h6 might become an option. Yeah, maybe that's why f4 is not as favourable. The bishop at g5, yeah, white making some aggressive moves. I like white's position here. I think Sexy and I know it's doing well. Now perhaps EF, GF, and then backing the bishop off. I think white should try to hold on to this pawn because black doesn't have much otherwise. Now maybe black can take this and recapture one pawn, and then this knight is opening up. This knight's then attacking g6. Okay, knight f4 played directly instead, so chicken already threatening here. Maybe the bishop could have come to e4 to cut off the diagonal. So I think chicken's playing some smart tactics here. I prefer the bishop to come back to e4 to cover g2 and this diagonal. Alright, so white's committed to making an attack out of this. Okay, but black is going to find safety this way. Now black's got things happening, and there's potential if the black king captures, knight d4 starts an attack rolling with the check. So this is it's all sharp stuff in the middle game. It's really about missing one trick or two. Yeah, I was liking white's position, and chicken's pretty quickly turned it the other way. But it might have only been one or two inaccurate moves. So now it's tough. Now knight h3, pawn g2. This is over. This is a win for black. Yeah, this is what separates the top field. It's just one or two moves in the middle game. Really liked a knight f4, knight g2 from chicken, but I think Sexy and I know it may have left the door open just slightly to let that in. Yeah, knight e3 is sensible. Just attacks the bishop. Threatens pawn at g2. There's no immediate mate here, but even something like pawn f4 or pawn at h4 is wrap things up pretty quickly. Black can even just collect them all to win. Okay, so White's actually resigned in this position. Yeah, bit disappointing after the opening start White had. I mean, if you go back here, you can see Black's king's display. Sure, Black's got lots of potential here, but yeah, I felt like White could maybe get a little more out of this. Bringing the bishop back to h4 is maybe it's not as critical to hold this pin. I was thinking maybe White could take this, so Black has no opportunity to capture here. And even just bring the bishop back to d2 or c1. Just keep the bishop with an eye on f4. It's easy to say this in hindsight, but it doesn't. Oh, now this knight's hanging, so maybe I'm mistaken there. That's giving black a little bit. Bishop h4, knight f4. I thought bishop e4 was a better move. And maybe d5. Just because white's also looking at this. I mean, now with d5 played, bishop c2 is more attractive because you get black to lock out his own bishop. But yeah, these are fine points. I mean, black's still got potential moves like this to get pawn e2 in. It's still a game. I'm not saying white was winning, but just other continuations. I think what black was allowed to do really unlocked a lot of the potential, you know. It's not coordinating here, not being easily captured because of discovery. You know, black just suddenly got everything he wanted and then got to tuck his king safely away. So maybe bishop e4 is an improvement, just to try to encourage black to play d5. Alright, but let's not dwell on this. Fine gameplay by Chicken Crossroad as well. I'm not even sure if this is better for white. Not easy to judge. So okay, white up. No, sorry, chicken up 2-1 here. Let's go to the fourth match. Okay. So chicken with the white pieces again. e4, e5, and he's changed from c3 to knight c3. So chicken deliberately switching up the openings. Both of these players will be familiar with this. Opting for the knight d5. Knight g4 has been a popular response for many players. Knight d5 also playable. See how he continues from here. I think knight at g4 is preferable. This is actually not too bad for white. I think knight at g5 is good for white here. This probably used to be one of the standard moves I played, and I found big struggles against knight g5 earlier in 2016. I actually stopped playing bishop g4. I don't know if it's all doom and gloom, but basically, if you look at a white gets pressure here. There's not much happening on this pin just yet. I mean, c3 can be played. I find just white seems to slip into an easier position than black. There may even be some sharp theoretical lines here where, yeah, white can actually play a sacrifice, and this bishop ends up being a target of this queen. Some discovered checks. I'm looking at bishop h6 takes, knight g5 check, takes, queen g4 is one possibility. And that's white sacrificing some material, but there's an attack that can form quite quickly here. So let's see how chicken plays this. He's already sacrificed that piece. He's opting for pawn at g5. He's claiming this knight is displaced. So maybe knight g8 here. And even move like g6 looks interesting. But I don't think it works. Wow, bishop f7. Okay, something's up here. I'm not sure if this is just straight up practical play or if chicken's seen something. I mean, if I'd play rook f7 here, I'd be thinking maybe pawn f5, but I mean, I'd be willing to take this up with black and try to defend it tenaciously. This is two pieces sacrificed for 2 pawns. I could be missing something, but I'm not seeing enough here. Rook f7. It's pawn at g6 takes, knight h4 check, queen g4. That does look like enough. We'll look at that line after the game's finished, but I'm nearly contesting if that line was to happen after knight h4, king h5 might be necessary to get the king to hold onto the bishop. I think it might be mated though. Queen g4 takes, bishop f3, king takes h4, pawn at g3. We'll have a look after it. No, bishop f3 might be covered by rook f3. We'll have a look at what would have happened if white accepted this sack, but chicken's playing some very aggressive crazy house. It's threatening to sack the queen, and then knight g6 was going to be mating. King h7, knight f8 takes g6, or pawn at g6, rook h7. I'm definitely going to go back over a few moves after this. So queen takes, this knight is definitely poisoned. So black looking to counter-attack. I'm not sure if white can just take this and say that it's better. I don't think black will have enough to mate white unless knight at h1 is fruitful. h1. White needs to think a bit here. Bishop at e3 is also another way to cover off defenses. You just block this bishop in and you've got a bishop that can reinforce. Okay, so here, knight h1, I think is black's only try. White's basically threatening queen h5, rook at h8. So, knight at h1. King g1's getting mated by pawn f2. I think king f1 is necessary, and the checks run out for black. I'm calling it a win for white here already because if black can't checkmate white, yeah, he'd pawn f2, queen h5, no, maybe rook at h5, queen f5 is, rook at h8, sorry, most accurate. Chicken's found another way, e6, so black's resigned. Alright, I'm going to have a look back at some of the positions in this game because I think it's critical for the audience. Pawn g5, I mean, really fine play from Chicken here. And, you know, I was already hinting that this opening causes problems for black. It's largely quite theoretical and very tactical. So, if rook f7, the only real move which keeps white going, maybe there's two moves. There's g6. No, g6 won't work because this queen then covers h4, so then knight h4 is useless. Queen covers g4. So you need to leave the pawn on g5 there and use a new pawn. If the black king backs off, you get the rook. So if king takes, knight h4 check, and the idea is that white just keeps it. White's basically only sacrificed a piece for a pawn and is massing a big attack on the light squares. So here I was suggesting black would have to bite the bullet and play king h5 and just be bold to actually defend this bishop to prevent white from gaining an advantage. The thing I was concerned about was some kind of bishop f3 thing, but that's going to be covered by rook f3. Even if bishop at f3 here, black can take this. White doesn't actually have a pawn in hand. I was just seeing ghosts when analysing on the run. White's still a pawn short. Can't actually capture a pawn. So I'm actually calling this in favour of black because black's going to get back to h5. So white actually a pawn short. Yeah, I think it looks crazy, but from the opening that was played from this knight h7 sack, I mean, this is where black has to play the moves to take everything and bring the king up. That's the way forward. Look at a move like h3, but no, that's not going to be anything. I mean, black's just going to win from here. So it's really only queen g4. And white just runs out of pieces. He's a pawn short. That's it. White's just one pawn short of delivering mate with pawn at g3. Or pawn at g2 in this case. You know, it's kind of embarrassing. You might get mated by something like this. So yeah, I think a bit of sharp line there, but I'm not convinced if bishop f7 was the right move. It's worked out well for Chicken. It hasn't been taken. Here, the point I was going to make to the audience was if he took, there was a neat mating trick here, and white just has enough to finish. So after king h8, the attacks are valid, and then white's defended well enough and has achieved the outcome. It's a very sharp crazy house here right from the get-go. Chicken playing well there to go up 3-1. So we're now heading to the 5th game. Okay. e4, knight c6, d4. So we're going back to this line. Oh, okay. Instead of bishop e3, knight f3. But I think Yeah, the point of this opening is bishop e3 so the rook can cover the queen, and then white actually gets decent development. Here I think black's just picked up a pawn, and can develop naturally, and development's equal, but black's just a pawn up. So yeah, I mean, black just needs to be careful of this. Even something like pawn at d7 is reasonable. I don't think Chicken will play a move like pawn at d7 because he likes to go by chess principles and not cramp in a bishop that already has an open line. He'd be probably more likely to look at bishop d7, which is also reasonable. In this case, he's ignored it and he's going straight for the light squares, which is also reasonable. Queen at b4 or queen at a5 check, they aren't really misses on winning this bishop fork, because knight c3 can block and defend the bishop here. So these two just, they just go, hey, okay, you can attack me, I'm going to attack you first. Pawn at d7 may be looking more attractive now. Well, probably taking g2 first, rook g1, then pawn at d7. Just as black, I'd be happy here to just try to hold on to the extra pawn. Eventually black will come out trumps. But like I said, I didn't expect Chicken to play pawn at d7. He's going to keep this bishop line open. I think there's merit in that. So yeah, he's probably going to play rook d8. And it's good having that mentality that Chicken has, because if he's playing with those principles, he'll always have pieces in well-developed positions, and so the pieces that are already on the board will already serve better purposes, not just relying on the pieces that you're putting on the board. So yeah, I think he'd still be thinking about how he's going to dislodge this. Maybe even a6 is something he's considering. There we go. So yeah, I mean, amongst us players in the top, I mean, we've played each other a number of times in Crazy House and Bug House, so you kind of get a feel for a player's style, and you can get a little bit of predictability on what kind of moves they're more likely to play. If this was black, as Bugzilla, for example, I'd expect him to play something like pawn at d7, because he likes to put pieces on the board, he likes to stay safe, he likes to get rid of the only threat in his half. Anyway, that's just an interesting point on style. Okay, so the knight captured, knight e5 coming in. So let's try to assess this. I mean, I think black's just slightly better because he's got a couple extra pawns in hand. Chicken's been able to do it so far by continuing to develop without letting go of any weaknesses. Bishop at d5, just reinforcing the light squares that this knight is attacking. Also defending here. White won't be keen to trade off the knight immediately because knight at f3 is a hole, so he's actually defending against knight at f3. Yeah, I hope this commentary gives a bit of method to the madness for the viewers as well, so they understand exactly why these middle game moves are played. There's a lot of thought that goes into this. In fact, for the higher level guys, yeah, the tactics are just the finishing part. So Chicken, not being asked twice, is taking 2 pieces for the queen. I think that's reasonable here. Very hard for white to now attack black. I'm not saying black's immediately got to win, but black can develop very slowly, and it's hard for white to actually make progress. This pawn is covered. The potential in the game, it's much easier for black to come in and get a pawn on d2, e2. I'm nearly calling it a win for black here already. And this is a concept I've talked a lot about on the channel, taking 2 pieces for the queen. Probably when I started streaming early in 2016, a lot of viewers were saying, "Oh, how can we do this?" I mean, here, black's achieved checkmate so quickly. The bishops are just dominating control over the board. 2 knights come in. So yeah, convincing win by Chicken there. I really liked how he just kept developing his pieces, not allowing weaknesses. and eventually he seized an opportunity to take 2 pieces for the queen when it favoured black. So look, chicken's running away with this one. He's up 4-1 here. This is the 6th match, sorry. Chicken only requires 2 more wins to move through to the round of 8. And really mixing it up here. So knight f3, g3. Perhaps deliberately keeping his opponent on his feet by trying to mix up the openings. I feel like it's Chicken Crossroad that's doing the deviation early on. So already here, you've got your opponent Sexy and I Know It thinking about how he wants to play this opening. Every second counts. The time pressure is certainly a factor. So okay, this is going to be a solid setup for both white and black in the opening. Sexy I Know has already been thinking very early about getting h5, h4 in. So he must have been thinking about this before bishop f5, exactly how he wanted to organise his pieces for an early push. That's a decent idea. There's nothing really wrong with that. I'm even tempted to play g4 sometimes, but you have a capture here and h3 push. I think maybe Chicken has decided he's going to do it this way with the capture here. Put the bishop on h4 instead of a pawn. But look, you know, black's kind of got a little bit of pressure. He's asking white the questions on, you know, is your setup the right way to go? Chicken's just trying to get solid here pretty early. This should be interesting. I think Sexy and I Know It is getting what he wants out of the opening. So this queen's come back to e7 to defend c7. Now white's going to try to quickly make some moves here. So yeah, Chicken's still developing all these pieces to good squares. Knight b5. Oh, I didn't like rook c8. That allows this. I was thinking pawn d6. But even then, maybe knight b6 is still quite annoying for black. I mean, pretty quickly here, Chicken's been able to say, well, you got nothing on my king yet. I'm already getting a pawn on the 7th, and I've got a rook in hand. So maybe the exchanges here are just favourable to white. I actually don't mind white's position after bishop f4. Chicken's playing very accurately here. So we've got a game. I mean, black's got good defense on these dark squares, which is where white would come in. So rook at c8 is not immediately dangerous. I mean, bishop at c8 could come in. Black's got to be thinking about castling to put a rook on the back rank here. So yeah, both players still playing sensibly. Only thing is that white's kind of up a pawn, I suppose. If you consider a rook quite similar to a minor piece, white's just got a slight edge. Wow, so Chicken being very resourceful, allowing knight h5. I'm not sure where he's going with all this yet. Queen c7 isn't on because of rook e6. Queen c8. This bishop's hanging. Now pawn at d7. So this must have been Chicken's idea of kicking this knight away, because this knight was defending d7. I just don't know if black had something better. I like it. I mean, Chicken's being really resourceful and playing for every tactic here. The pawn at d7 is called for. And you're asking the question of white, what are you going to do with this knight? Oh, this just allows pawn d7. Chicken will be happy with this. Oh, knight e7's coming in. Oh. Yeah, Chicken's just seeing all the angles here. I nearly feel pawn at d7 was required. So yeah, Sexy and I Know It holding on to his queen by moving king h7, but now white's got options. I'm really impressed with Chicken's play here. He's played a very sharp tactical game in the middle game. He's probably opened up things very decisively when he had some quiet choices. Okay, rook e6, now he's taking advantage of this. And still black hasn't penetrated white. Maybe even knight f4 is sensible here. Okay, the queen factory has begun. Make another one if he wants. Yeah, there's lots of promotions. And you can see how he's really converted that one pawn on c7 to so much more. Oh, he's got mate here. Wow, yeah, Chicken, really in good form. At a high level, you know, this kind of player is going to take on a lot of players. I was really impressed with g5 is the move. He's foreseen already these tactics with rook d6, knight d5, pawn at d7. He's trying to dislodge this knight. I don't mind knight h5. After rook at d6, it seems that everything is just hanging together for white. Now, black can't play queen e7 because of the promotion. If queen c7, then rook e6, and then there's a discovery here. Maybe that's one of black's best choices, and then just castle. I may have opted for this if I was black myself, in the sense that the white's nearly forcing the issue that it's best to give up the queen, get some safety. But the black now has a bit of an army to try to penetrate with. You know, there's defenses around the king. There's still a game to be played here. If you count the material, I mean, white is up basically a queen and a pawn in exchange for a minor piece, but what actually matters is the fact that all of black's pieces on the board are already well placed, and there's potential here. I'd still call it better for white, only because this bishop defends everything, but you know, white's still got to find his way. So after queen c8 here, and then I thought pawn at d7, maybe just asked white a few more questions. What are you going to do about this threat here? Or is it nothing? Maybe rook c6 here just wins with knight at d6. Yeah, I missed that. Even here, maybe you don't need to play knight d5. You can just play rook c6. So yeah, really impressed. I mean, all the way from back here, he's just made every move look critical. G5 particularly resourceful. Not the natural move that Crazy House player looks for, but you know, his other pieces aren't really doing anything. That's his play. So yeah, I think my peers in the game will also admire a move like G5, how resourceful that is. And even here, he's, you know, making use of this knight G6 stuff. Really convincing. By the end of it, it didn't even look close. So brilliant stuff there from Chicken. I've got to applaud that. He's now at 5-1. This is looking like he'll move through quite convincingly. So we'll go to the next match, next game. Chicken up 5-1 against Sexy and I Know It. He's got the black pieces. And again mixing up from move 1, e4, g6. So really, I don't know if he's just, you know, playing these moves and then trying to find his way from there, or if he's prepared, but he's certainly making Sexy and I Know It think about things. And it's good. It's, you know, if you play the same openings, your opponent's going to play quickly and play the same lines. He's mixing it up well here. Now this knight's been delayed to f6, which makes me think he wants to bring this knight out first from c6. No, he's going to go this way. Maybe the threat of knight g5 warrants this. But I have seen some ideas where the move order's changed a bit. So this is a bit passive for black, but the idea is black often goes for a late e5, and then you know, just tries to play a good middle game, get pieces in good squares, and it just avoids a lot of the theoretical lines because there's just so many different lines that pop up from this opening. Okay, I have seen this early bishop f7 sack. I'm not a huge fan of it myself. I've played this as black many times. I expect Chicken will know you bring their knight to g8 or g4 and just play against this pawn. Then black's up a piece and then has to defend. So if any of you have seen the match I played up against Kroski, I believe I probably had one of these matches where I defended this with black. I tucked the king away on g8, take here and put a bishop on e8 and then push out slowly. It looks horrible to play as black. If you don't like defending, it will be your worst nightmare. But objectively, I think white can just hang back and come out on top. Here, yeah, queen f3 is interesting. Knight h6, queen d5, pawn at d5 covers. Otherwise, if not for this knight covering, black would have more to answer for. Okay, so white now looking for pawn f7. I think black can just take this and defend with king g7. So black's basically defending the rest of the game here and he's saying, if I can live, I'm going to be a piece up and I'll eventually develop all my pieces and win really slowly. And I'm more open to taking up the white pieces here than the black. Sorry, other way around. I'm open to taking the black pieces here rather than white. I think black tends to win this. And look, you know, players like Chicken Crossroad will have played this as white and absolutely ripped me to shreds. He's just that talented. But I'll take black over white any day in this opening. Okay, so white bringing in some more pieces. Let's see how Chicken handles this. But I'll back Chicken to find the right moves. Bishop at g4 is a good move, hits the queen, covers e6 again. So at the moment, I mean, black should be putting things on to cover light squares and try to remove these sorts of pieces from their aggressive positions. Now pawn f7 play, but I think white will be able to make it look like this is an overextension. Pawn f6 is sensible here. Even this bishop you could tuck away back on d7 and just say, what you going to do? Sure, there's some discoveries here with knight d6 and taking this. Again, Chicken, you know, he wouldn't bring a bishop back to d7, he'll bring it back to f5 where it's still got a life here. I think knight f7 is sensible. You can just pick off pieces. He might decide pawn e5. No, he's going to defend. Just develop, rather. And you don't want to leave this stuff hanging around too long as black. You want to try to remove it when you can in case more pieces come in. You can see black starting to get safe here. I like moves like bishop d7 here, where you're just tucked away and white can't take things. Maybe taking on d6, pawn e6 actually does leave something open. Don't have to move this. Yeah, I reckon Sexy would take that. No? Okay. So I'd be looking at how I get rid of d5 next. Whether that's queen c5, knight b5. He's going to pick it off cold. He's picked off a piece here. You just pick off this one as well if you want. All pretty safe. So yeah, Chicken's going to take this one pretty easily. He's got the material, he's just making the king safe. I'm not sure if time's now a factor, but yeah, he'll just roll through the moves very quickly. This is now being utilized. Knight at f5, knight e2. Yeah, there's mate here. Rook h. Pretty close. White's resigned here. Convincing win from Black. So I mean, you could see, I mean, Black can find defenses and then push White back at the high levels. This is probably favoured to Black. Maybe at lower levels, the attacks are more successful with White. But yeah, so Chicken is through. Chicken's through to the final 8 in very convincing fashion. He took the match 6 games to 1. I put a shout out to Atrophied's channel. He took on Juanet. I'm not going to reveal the result of that match, but I believe Atrophied had covered his own match and has commentated that. Krosky may have also covered that one, so I'm not going to be covering that. I think between us, because ECAF actually won by forfeit, Saturos did not play ECAF, so ECAF is also through to the final 8. We now have the final 8 lineup. So yes, I'll let you go have a look at the Atrophied match if you've not had a chance to look at that already. Go to Atrophied's channel on YouTube. He's been streaming longer than I have, so yeah, it's good to see we've got a few of us covering these matches. Yeah, so it's on to the round robin next. Stay tuned. There's going to be a heap of matches. We're going to have 8 of the best players in the world who are going to be battling out for 2 of the positions in the final. There's only 2 positions to fight for. Everyone has to play everyone for a match of 10 games, so you'll get something like 280 games of high-level Crazy House coming out of this event with a key goal that all of them are fighting for. So should be fantastic. It might take place even over the next few months. There's a lot of good Crazy House to come. So I'm going to close off this video here. Thanks again for joining. Hope you enjoyed the commentary. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.